7 things that my Japanese house has. Once you enter the house, 100% you're gonna see this kind of area where it's a little bit lower down the actual house, where you can take shoes off and get in the house so that you are not gonna get any sand, dirt, all that kind of stuff. A lot of times, doors are sliding doors to save the space. And right here under the stairs is even used to have a storage. Boom. I'm gonna show you guys the bathroom real quick. Sliding door. And this right here, it's got all the bidet and things, and then flushing that has both number 1, number 2 sitting on it and everything. And this right here, it's got the sensor so that it flushes automatically. And when it flushes, water comes out from here so that you can wash your hands. And this whole thing is all attached and connected together. This right here with a little screen on it is what you can talk to people who is outside the door. You can record the conversation. You can just look outside just to look at it. You can even change the volume, which is kind of extra. We usually don't have a central heating system, so we get this little thing each room that does both heating and cooling. And this remote has basically everything from setting the timer, changing the temperature, and all that kind of stuff. One thing you never not see in Japanese kitchen is this thing. Oven specifically built for cooking fish. You can put water underneath and you put fish on top and then cooks it right in there. As you can see the fish icon, it's even got multiple settings how you want to cook fish. So that's kind of funny and goofy. There the fish goes.
Things about my school in Japan that could send Americans into a coma. We all have to change from outdoor to indoor shoes as soon as we enter the school, and no, I've never seen any love note confessions in the shoe cubbies. Also, you don't know clean until you've been to a Japanese school because these kids clean the school from top to bottom every single day. They also serve themselves lunch and clean their trays. This admittedly blew my mind, but definitely in a good way. Now, what sends me into an absolute spiral almost daily is that they leave the windows open and there's no heating or cooling in the halls, so I have to walk around in a coat. Then, probably the most coma-inducing part is the dress code. Girls either have to wear their hair in a bob above their shoulders or in a low pony. Definitely no dyed hair, so no anime protagonists. And I don't follow these rules, but no piercings and no makeup.
Things in Japan that'll send an American into a coma. Number 1. Every single phone in Japan has the shutter sound when you take a picture. Even if you take the picture on Snapchat or any app, and you cannot disable it. This is required by the government because they wanted to stop men from taking photos of girls without them knowing. So if you buy a phone in Japan, it has the shutter sound and you can't turn it off. So if you go to a place like a museum or something, you'll just constantly hear the shutter sound. What a lot of people do to get around this is when they travel to another country, they'll use that time to buy an iPhone or just any phone and bring it back to Japan. Like when I had to get a new iPhone, I bought it in America and had it shipped to Japan because I was not going to deal with that shutter sound. Number 2, people in Japan will literally sleep anywhere. This is because the work culture in Japan is so bad. Some people work from 9 a.m. all the way to 10 p.m. So it's extremely common to see people sleeping on the train. Sometimes they'll even fall asleep on your shoulder. And they somehow just magically wake up at their stop. Which leads me to number 3. In Tokyo, we have something called a Shibuya meltdown, which is when men, mostly salary men, spend all day working, so they go to Shibuya after work just to drink, and they'll fall asleep anywhere in Shibuya. It's because the last train in Japan is at 12 o'clock, so if you stay past that time, you have to stay until 5 a.m. when the trains run again. So people will just fall asleep there, literally anywhere. If you're up early enough and you go to Shibuya, you'll likely see someone just sleeping in the most random places until they wake up and go home, or sometimes just go straight to work. Number 4, if you go to the movies in Japan, when the movie ends, Japanese people just sit through the entire credits in silence. I feel like some people do this in America, but I think for the most part, people just get up and leave. But you just have to sit and wait through the credits because you'll just have to move through everyone that's sitting and waiting. Number 4 or 5, I can't remember. If you're a foreigner and conventionally attractive, It's very common to get scouted to be a hair model, especially if you're in places like Shibuya, Harajuku, or Omotesando. But hairstylists will just run up to you and ask if they can cut your hair for free because they want like models for their portfolio. And it's actually really, really common. It's happened to me, but I've said no because you have to do like a specific haircut that they want. And I just like cutting my own hair. Follow for more. And if you haven't followed me at this point, you're just fake. Bye!
Things to know before going to Japan. If you're planning to go out at night, mentally prepare to stay out all night because trains close around midnight and taxis will become really expensive at night. If you have any tattoos, you will not be allowed to enter certain hot springs and certain water parks, mainly because they will think that you belong to a very dangerous gang. Always wear socks that have no holes in them because you may be asked to. Remove your shoes when entering some castles, shrines, temples, or even some restaurants. Make sure that you always carry cash with you because some places will only take cash. And don't forget any of these.
Unusual things that are totally normal in Japan. Japanese kids are like little mini adults. They can do everything on their own, from running errands to traveling alone and even eating meals on their own like little bosses. But it's not just from their parents. The whole culture is like a giant boot camp for independence. From a young age, Japanese kids are encouraged to be self-sufficient and take responsibility for their own actions. So the next time you see a little kid in Japan walking around by themselves, remember, they're not just independent, they're mini ninjas, navigating the streets with confidence and capability. Is it like this anywhere else?
It's another normal day in my life in Tokyo. Today's a Saturday and I woke up early because it's time to throw away some pet bottles. In my area, Saturdays are for pet bottles and cardboard boxes. Then I turn the TV on just so it won't be too quiet while I make breakfast. I still have to go grocery shopping again, and today I'm cooking some leftover spam and eggs and sausages. My husband's still asleep, so I'm eating breakfast by myself because I have a part-time job in the afternoon. And after breakfast, I was planning to do the laundry, but the weather today is not laundry friendly, so I gave up. And then I spent time looking at my phone, checking some of you guys' comments and messages until I fall asleep again. And then I prepare for work and ask my husband if my outfit is okay. And as usual, I prepare my coffee, and at this point I was actually already in a hurry. And then I headed out. The weather has been gloomy lately and I've been waiting for the sun to come out. When I got to the station, I had to charge my train card and I was just in time for my train. And before going to my workplace, I went to the nearest Family Mart to buy something to eat. Some of you guys have been asking me about what I do. In case you haven't guessed it already, I actually teach English, but only to adults. And today I have a full schedule, which means I don't have any breaks, so I'm relying on my favorite melon pan for energy. Then it was already dark after work, and on my way home, I bought yakitori or grilled chicken for dinner. I also stopped by the supermarket to buy food for tomorrow, and my husband's favorite butter ice cream. This is so good, by the way. And as soon as I got home, I ate dinner and played some games and got ready to go to bed. And that's all about my day. Thanks for watching.
So Japanese cultural do's and don'ts. First, there's no tipping servers in Japan. I've even heard stories of waitresses or waiters running out of their stores into the streets to chase down travelers to return their money if they gave a tip. The Japanese service industry is just usually very uniform and regimented, so there seems to be more value placed on the server's ability to seamlessly work within the establishment's team, as opposed to their individual performance standing out to the customer. However, many bars, restaurants, or cafes will charge an entrance fee of sometimes $4 to $10 if it's an establishment that offers uniquely attentive service or a specifically charming atmosphere. Any place with these cover charges should have it stated at the entrance, oftentimes in English as well. Next, strong perfumes or colognes are often discouraged in many Japanese settings. For example, the trains during rush hour often have many people packed tightly together, so maybe a collection of different strong scents might be unpleasant to people. I've even seen some very narrow restaurants having signs outside asking people not to wear very strong perfume inside. However, if you're going out for some nightlife or to a club, I'm pretty sure people just wear whatever scent they want, just like anywhere else in the world, so I wouldn't stress about that. Next, when offering something to someone, you can do so a bit more respectfully by holding it with two hands. For example, if I'm giving someone a gift, I'll pass it to them with both hands. Or if I'm holding up my empty glass for someone to fill it up, or definitely if I'm giving someone a business card. Next, public displays of affection are definitely less common in Japan than in the West. So if you're saying goodbye to your date at the train station, or just feeling the mood in a train or a park or someplace, going for a kiss might be surprising to them or people around you. Anyway, just some things to help you fit in if you travel or move to Japan. But even if you're not aware of many cultural norms, I really don't think you'll face much adversity if you're really just generally cool to people around you. I find it to be a very welcoming country.
Things that I hate about living in Japan. The police in Japan actually have the power to detain you up to 23 days just for looking suspicious or even just being weird. Some restaurants, bars, and clubs in Japan actually allow you to smoke anywhere inside, making your clothes stink really bad. Some stores in Japan restrict entry on weekends because it's so packed that you actually have to line up for 3 hours just to take a cringe pic with Luffy.